Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to repot this little Ficus Benjamina right here. I have had this for almost 4 to 5 years now. It started as a simple tree from a garden center that I decided to grow as a bonsai. It's one of the trees I have the longest in my collection and also probably the oldest one that I really grow from stock material. And today, after nearly 3 years, it's time to repot this tree. You can see it is still in a very weird soil mixture of mainly clay pebbles with some organic soil mixed into it. It has been doing well in this soil for quite a long time. I would say for like 2.5 years. It definitely had a lot of growth. It thickened the trunk tremendously. But over this growth season, I've noticed that the growth somewhat started to slow down, and I think one of the reasons is that this simply needs a repot. I don't think that it's root bound, to be honest. I just think that the soil is far from optimal any longer. I think it is quite depleted simply, and we need to remove it. It is, those clay pebbles starting to break down, I feel like, and why not give it a new lease on life by repotting it? And after 3 years, it's more than time to do so anyway. So that is the plan for today. What do we need for that? Is simply something to remove the soil. I have chopsticks for this and a little rake. And of course a different pot then. I have prepared one right here that we're going to use to repot. It is roughly the same size, maybe even a bit smaller. However, it is not as shallow as this pot, so it's a bit deeper, so the roots should have a little bit more space in general than here. So the volume is, I think, a little bit bigger actually. I think back in the day I did not tie down this tree. Let me check. No, it's not tied in. So we should be able to simply gently move this up, and as I said, it does not seem to be root bound, because otherwise it wouldn't come out that easily. Let me move this a little bit to the side, and then we really work on the tree. So yeah, this soil definitely doesn't seem to be the healthiest any longer. It was quite airy, you can see that with the clay pebbles, so that definitely was a benefit for the tree. However, it seems very compact at certain points, and the organic matter doesn't seem to be that good any longer. So I'm really carefully raking out any of the big debris I can see in here, trying to not damage the roots, and then when the bigger chunks are gone, we can then still go in with the chopsticks if needed. Of course, we have a ficus here, which means there's also somewhat like bulbous roots in here. There's still some netting in here from back in the day I can see, so we also removed that. And now I think I'm moving over to using hands. Here's the netting I can see that I put in, of course, into the pot that also came out with it. And let's remove some soil. Really not a lot of root mass, which doesn't speak for the soil. That is why most of my other trees already have, over the years, repotted into inorganic soil. Where with this one I waited because it always was doing so well, but probably would have benefited from also repotting it earlier. Because, ficus often has not that many roots. But this is definitely less than I would have expected. So, the main parts are removed. What I will do now is rinse this off with a bit of water and then wrap it in a paper towel. So while we prepare the other pot, this is not in any way then getting too dry. So as I said, wrapped it in a paper towel for now. Once we have the pot prepared, I will show you there's really almost no root mass on here, especially feeder roots are basically non-existent. Surprising how healthy the tree looks nevertheless, but I think this just shows how much this will benefit from now being repotted. Let me put the tree a little bit to the side for now, and we move on to the pot. So it's a little glazed pot. I put some netting in here so the new inorganic soil doesn't simply wash out through the drainage holes. I also put wire in because, of course, we will tie this tree in. Now, having seen the actual root mass, we will definitely need to tie it in. And Let's prepare this pot already with a little bit of soil. So I'm just using a little bit of ground layer of my inorganic soil mixture. The mixture is pumice, lava rock and perlite, so fully inorganic. Most of my trees are in a soil mixture like this by now and they're doing very well. So we then take the tree, remove the paper towel of course again, and now let's take a look on these roots. You can see not a lot of root mass in here, especially for the height of the tree. You have the big bulbous roots of course, and this is I think what keeps the tree also quite alive for a long time, because of course you can store a lot of water in there. A lot of these roots here, this one I'm not so sure if we might even remove this part here, because I was never really happy with how high this root from here is coming and how thick it is looking. So that is something we could actually correct now. And maybe even take out some of those lower roots down here. I think I will actually take out this root now, thinking of it. So I'm simply getting my garden shears and I'm trying to, as flush as possible, cut this root. It is part of the root system of course, but there's still enough root on here to definitely have this tree survive, so that shouldn't be a problem. And it removed quite an unsightly thing on this tree that has been bugging me since I actually repotted it. Back in the day there was not a lot of root on any of these other little branches down here, so I didn't have really any choice other than keeping this on. But now, as at least here some roots have developed, we had the possibility to take this out. We also have a nice aerial root on this tree that I definitely want to incorporate again. So let's see if we need to move this in a different direction. But I think I like it a little bit off to the side here as it is. Just gives a good look on this tree. Let's see if it fits into the pot. Get the wire out of the way. I think this height is actually quite nice, and now it really comes in handy that we took out this root up here, because it would have been too high otherwise. This way we can still repot it in a position that covers all of the more bulbous roots on this tree, but shows like the nice thick trunk line that has developed here. So let me tie this in. Let me see from which side I best tie this in without damaging the roots. So I want to move the roots around this wire of course, so the wire is not in the way. And I think we can use this bulbous part of the root right here and tie it in here to the back. And from this side, use the one on the other side. And that is holding, that gives it stability. Of course, it doesn't have to be completely locked in with the wire. A little bit of wiggle room is always fine. Let's see if it's standing somewhat straight in this pot. I think it does. And then we just again take our inorganic soil mixture and fill in all the areas around here. So it's definitely deeper than the other one, as I mentioned, so we should be able to fill this in quite nicely. So, of course, also here in the back, making also sure all the roots are somewhat covered in here. This one here is standing a little bit too high, but we will cover it with soil still, and then see. So this is definitely a good layer of soil, but we are not finished yet. It does look nice, it does look healthy, but what we still need to keep in mind is that, of course, there could be certain air bubbles still underneath here within the soil. You know, when we water then maybe air collects and then also water collects. This could be detrimental to the health of the tree. So I'm simply using some wooden chopsticks to work the soil in all the empty space that might still be in here in this pot. And I can see how the soil is actually still working its way underneath here, and how the pot suddenly is not as full any longer as it was just a minute ago. Meaning we probably still need a little bit more soil, but it's good. As long as we fill all the areas in here, that's the important thing. of course trying to really make my way underneath here. But I'm starting to feel it getting more compact. Let's move the soil. And we definitely need some more soil, so let me prepare that. And we just make sure to fill some of these areas with a little bit of soil still. Moving it around here at the back. Covering all the roots here. And there we go. Let me clean this up a little bit and then we take a closer look at the finished tree. And there it is, the finished tree. You can see here we have tied it in, secured it, and we see the aerial root nicely showing from both sides. And already now it looks way fresher and renewed again. I'm not going to work on the foliage today. Of course, a repot like this is always somewhat of quite a stressful event for a tree. In the future we might wire out this one here a little bit, creating more of a lower branch here. Right now it's growing a little bit upward, but I can see it's still very malleable, so there is time for that. Simply seeing now how the tree reacts to the repot. We might even shorten it here again a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit laggy, a bit too long. Here, unfortunately, I think this branch has died back. We'll still see if there is some vigor in here and it might grow back. Otherwise, we have, of course, this little branch here. We could work a little bit further outside also, being a nice little side branch here. But yeah, what I'm going to do now, of course, still is water this tree. We have completely dry soil in here right now, so we'll give it a good rinse, wash out any dust, any debris that might still be in here. So really water it maybe 2-3 times now in a row. Just water it, let all the water run through, give it one more watering to simply really flush out all debris. And then this goes back to the spot it used to be before, so sticking in the same environment on a west-facing windowsill and seeing then in the next couple of weeks how it is faring. And then we might actually start still pruning here a little bit in growth season on this tree, or we wait till next growth season. But I will keep you updated on this tree. If you have any questions or ideas for this tree, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. And if you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe to it. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.